I had been retired for exactly 48 hours when my phone rang. 48. After 40 years of working, after raising my son alone, after sacrificing every dream I ever had, I finally had time for myself. And then she called. Evelyn, Bianca said, not even a hello, not even a pause. I'm dropping the kids off tomorrow morning, 10 days, I have a conference. I didn't respond immediately, because something in her tone wasn't a request, it was an order. I'm sorry, I said slowly, staring at the travel brochures spread across my table. What did you just say? A sigh, sharp, annoyed. I said I'm leaving Noah, Lily, and Ethan with you. You're retired now, right? You don't do anything anymore? I don't do anything anymore. Those words didn't hurt, not the way she expected. They awakened something because I had spent 40 years doing everything, raising a child alone after my husband died, working double shifts, saving every dollar, building a life for my son, and now this woman who had never worked a real day in her life was telling me I did nothing. I have plans, I said. She laughed, actually laughed. Plans, she repeated. Evelyn, please, what kind of plans could you possibly have? You're retired. This is what retired people do, help family. Family, that word felt hollow coming from her. Because for 8 years she had slowly erased me from that very family. Birthdays I wasn't invited to, school events I never knew about, holidays where I got 2 hours while her parents got entire weekends. And now suddenly I was useful again, not loved, not respected, useful. You'll drop them off at 7? I asked calmly. Yes, and Evelyn? Her voice dropped, cold. Don't fill their heads with your outdated ideas. And don't give them junk like last time. I don't want them picking up your habits. I smiled, not because it was funny, but because in that moment something inside me clicked into place. Of course, I said softly. See. That wasn't so hard, she replied. And just so we're clear, if you want to keep seeing them after this, don't make things difficult. There it was, the threat, wrapped in politeness, delivered like a fact. Because Bianca didn't just control my son, she controlled access to my grandchildren, and she knew it. I ended the call slowly, quietly. Then I sat there, staring at my retirement certificate hanging on the wall. Evelyn Carter. In recognition of 40 years of service. 40 years. Do you know what teaching for 40 years gives you? It doesn't just teach you patience. It teaches you patterns, behavior, manipulation. It teaches you how to watch, how to wait. And most importantly, when to act. I stood up, walked to my desk, and opened a drawer I hadn't touched in months. Inside was a notebook, plain, black, unassuming, but inside it was everything: dates, observations, conversations. 2 years of quiet documentation, every strange business trip, every unexplained expense, every moment Bianca thought no one was paying attention. I flipped to the last page, picked up a pen, and wrote. November 18th, Bianca made a mistake. Because she thought she was dumping her children on me, but what she didn't realize was she had just handed me time, access, opportunity, and I had been waiting for that for a long time. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I trusted. Margaret, I said when she answered, I need your help. A pause, then, oh, this sounds serious, she replied. It is. Silence. Then she asked the only question that mattered. What are you planning, Evelyn? I looked at my notebook, then at my retirement certificate, and finally at the empty house around me. I'm going to teach a lesson, I said quietly, a lesson she will never forget. The next morning I was ready, not emotionally, strategically. At exactly 6 o'clock a.m. I was already awake, dressed, and moving through my house with quiet precision, every room prepared, every detail intentional. Because this wasn't babysitting, this was observation. By 6:30 a.m. everything was in place. By 6:45 I unplugged the Wi-Fi, deliberately, quietly, and then I waited. At exactly 7 o'clock a.m. the doorbell rang. Right on time, Bianca Carter was many things, but late wasn't one of them when it benefited her. I opened the door, and there she stood, perfect, polished, expensive, designer coat, luxury handbag. Sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly pension. Behind her were the children, 3 little versions of the life she had built. Noah, 13, eyes glued to his phone like the world depended on it. Lily, 11, already scanning my house with quiet judgment. Ethan, 8, frowning before he even stepped inside. Good morning, I said warmly. None of them responded. Bianca didn't step inside, she never did. She simply pushed the children forward slightly like luggage. 10 days, she said. Everything they need is in the bags. Then the instructions began. Rapid, sharp, calculated. Noah needs his phone at all times. Lily won't eat anything green. Ethan sleeps with his tablet, don't take it away. And don't try to discipline them your way, they're not used to that. Not used to discipline. I almost smiled. Of course, I said calmly. She leaned in closer, lowered her voice. And Evelyn, remember what I said? There it was again, the threat. If you want to stay in their lives, don't mess this up. I held her gaze, unshaken. Have a nice trip, Bianca. For a split second, something flickered in her eyes, not confidence, not control, something else. But it disappeared just as quickly. She turned, walked away, didn't hug her children. Didn't say, I love you, just left. The sound of her car fading down the street felt louder than it should have. And then silence. I closed the door slowly, turned around, and faced them, 3 strangers. 3 children who had been taught not to know me. All right, I said gently, let's get settled. Noah didn't move. Wi-Fi password? He asked without looking up. Not working, I replied. His head snapped up instantly. What? The Wi-Fi is down. That's not possible, he said, already frustrated. It is today. His expression hardened. This place is already terrible. Lily crossed her arms. I'm not eating anything here if it's gross. Ethan walked past me into the living room. Why is your TV so old? There it was, not children speaking, programming speaking, words they had heard, repeated, believed. I took a breath and reminded myself they are not the problem. They're just kids, I whispered internally, kids who had never been guided, only managed. All right, I said calmly, reaching into my pocket. I made something for you, 3 sheets of paper. I handed one to each of them. They looked down, confused. What is this? Noah asked. House rules. Immediate resistance. We're not at school, Lily snapped. I know, I said. You're in my house, silence. And in my house, everyone contributes. Noah scoffed. This is ridiculous. Is it? I asked. He didn't answer. Here's how it works, I continued. Noah, you help with dishes. Lily, you keep your space clean. Ethan, you put things back after using them. Ethan frowned. That's chores. Yes, that's not fair. No, I said gently. It's life. Noah shook his head. My mom said you're controlling. I met his eyes, calm, steady. And what do you think? He hesitated just for a second. That was the first crack. I think this is dumb, he muttered. Fair enough, I said. Breakfast is in 30 minutes. I'm not eating, Lily said instantly. That's your choice. Ethan looked between us. I'm hungry, I smiled slightly. Then you'll eat. I walked into the kitchen, didn't argue, didn't force, just moved forward because control isn't loud, it's consistent. Behind me, I heard whispers. She's weird. I told you this would suck. Mom was right. Maybe, but I also knew something they didn't. Kids don't resist structure forever. They test it, they push it, but deep down they crave it. 10 minutes later, the smell reached them. Real food, warm, comforting, familiar in a way they didn't understand yet. Ethan appeared first, drawn by instinct. What is that? He asked. Pancakes, I said. Real ones? He stepped closer, curious. Then Noah followed, trying not to seem interested. Then Lily, pretending she didn't care until she saw the plate. Pancakes shaped like animals. Strawberries cut into stars, warm syrup, milk. They stared. This is, Ethan whispered. Different, Noah finished. Lily sat down slowly. I'll just try it, she said. They took one bite, then another, silence. Not the uncomfortable kind, the kind that only happens when something is right. This is actually good, Noah admitted. Really good, Ethan added. Lily didn't speak, she just kept eating. And that's when I knew the second crack had formed, not in their behavior, in their belief system. Because for the first time, something their mother said was proven wrong. And once that happens, everything starts to shift. I sat across from them, watching, not controlling, not correcting, just observing, because this wasn't about winning. This was about revealing. And slowly, very slowly, the truth was starting to surface. The second morning, everything changed. Not dramatically, not loudly, but in a way that told me this was no longer just about difficult children. This was about something deeper, something hidden. I woke up before sunrise like I always had during my teaching years. Made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and reviewed what I had already seen. Noah's anger wasn't random. Lily's distance wasn't attitude. Ethan's confusion wasn't childish. They weren't misbehaving, they were reacting to something. At exactly 7 o'clock a.m., they came downstairs, not dragging their feet like yesterday, not complaining, just quieter. "Good morning," I said. "Morning, Grandma Evelyn," Ethan replied softly. The first time he said it, Grandma, that word landed gently, but it meant everything. Noah sat down without asking about Wi-Fi. Lily didn't complain about food. That alone told me something had shifted overnight. I placed breakfast in front of them. French toast, eggs, fresh fruit, and this time no resistance, just silence. But not the uncomfortable kind, the thinking kind. "Can I ask something?" Ethan said suddenly. I nodded. "Why does Mom say you're embarrassing?" There it was, not anger, not insult, a question, honest, curious. I set my fork down. "Do you think I'm embarrassing?" I asked gently. He hesitated, looked at Noah, then Lily. "I don't know," he admitted. "Then maybe," I said softly, "you should decide that for yourself." Silence, no pressure, no correction, just space. That's when Lily spoke. "She says you're poor," she muttered. "She says that's why Dad works so much, because you couldn't give him a better life." The words hung in the air, heavy, sharp, but I didn't react, because I had heard worse in classrooms. From children repeating things they didn't understand. "And what do you think?" I asked again. Lily looked down at her plate. "I think this food is better than ours," she said quietly. Another crack, small but powerful. Noah suddenly pushed his plate away slightly. "Mom says a lot of things," he muttered. "And?" I asked. He clenched his jaw, "and some of them don't make sense." There it was. The first real shift, not in behavior, in awareness. I leaned back slightly, calm, patient. "Sometimes," I said, "adults say things that aren't true, not because they want to hurt you, but because they don't want you to see something." "What?" Ethan asked. I didn't answer, not yet. "Because truth has timing, and if you reveal it too early, people reject it." Instead, I asked something else. "Ethan, yesterday you mentioned someone, do you remember?" His face changed instantly. Fear, real fear. Noah kicked him under the table. "Don't," he warned, but it was too late. "Ray," Ethan started, then stopped. Lily looked panicked. "We're not supposed to talk about that," she whispered. My heart slowed, focused. "Talk about what?" I asked gently. Silence. No one moved, no one spoke, then Ethan said it. Barely above a whisper. "Mom said if we tell, Dad will get really sick." Everything inside me went still, not surprised, not shocked, just confirmed. "Does that sound true to you?" I asked softly. Ethan shook his head slowly. "No, no," I repeated, "because it isn't." Noah stood up suddenly. "You're trying to get us in trouble," he snapped. "I'm not," I said calmly. "Yes, you are. Mom said people like you twist things, people like you." I didn't respond to that. Instead, I walked over slowly, stopped in front of him, and said something very simple. "Noah, look at me." He hesitated, then did. "Have I lied to you yet?" Silence. "No," he admitted. "Have I forced you to do anything unfair?" "No." "Then why would I start now?" He didn't have an answer, because logic breaks manipulation, slowly, painfully, but it does. "Sit down," I said gently, and this time he listened. "That mattered. Listen to me, all of you," I said. "You are not in trouble, you haven't done anything wrong." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "But Mom said—" "I know what she said," I interrupted softly. "But what matters now is what's true." "And what is true?" Noah asked. I looked at each of them one by one, carefully. "Something is happening in your home that isn't right." Silence. Ethan's voice trembled. "Is it Ray?" There it was, the name. Out loud, no more hiding, no more whispers. "Yes," I said. "Who is he?" Lily asked. I didn't answer immediately, because this was the moment. The turning point. The line you don't cross unless you're ready for everything to change. So instead, I asked one final question. "When does he come over?" Ethan answered, without thinking. "When Dad is gone." Noah closed his eyes, like he had been holding that in for a long time. Lily started crying quietly. And just like that, everything shifted. Because now it wasn't suspicion anymore, it was truth, and truth once spoken cannot be undone. I stood up slowly, walked to the counter, picked up my notebook, and wrote one line. "Day 2, confirmation." Then I closed it, turned back to them, and said calmly, "All right. Now we know where the real lesson begins." That night, after the children had gone to sleep, I didn't rest. I prepared, because what I had heard that morning wasn't just a secret. It was a crack in something much bigger, and I needed proof, real proof. The kind that doesn't disappear when someone lies. The kind that holds up no matter how hard someone tries to twist the story. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and began, first, Bianca's social media. Public, of course it was. People like her don't hide, they perform. I scrolled slowly, carefully, months of photos, perfect angles, perfect smiles, perfect life, but I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at everything around her. Backgrounds, reflections, details. Patterns, Miami, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, every business trip, perfectly documented. And then I saw him, not clearly, not intentionally, but enough. A hand on her shoulder. A reflection in sunglasses. A shadow standing too close. The same man again and again and again. I zoomed in, took screenshots, saved everything because once is coincidence, twice is suspicious. But patterns tell the truth. I kept going deeper, further back until there it was. A photo from 3 weeks ago, Bianca standing next to a man, smiling, holding keys. The caption, "New Beginnings." My heart didn't race, it slowed because I already knew. I just needed confirmation. I clicked his profile. Ryan Blake, location, Atlanta, occupation, real estate. Of course, I didn't waste time. Opened a new tab, property records, search, and there it was. A house, Atlanta, purchased recently, and under owner names Ryan Blake. Bianca Carter. I stared at the screen, not shocked, just certain. This wasn't a mistake, this wasn't confusion, this was planning, careful, deliberate. And then I saw something that made my hands go still. Down payment. $85,000 cash. I leaned back slowly, because I knew exactly where that money came from. Or rather, who it belonged to. Marcus, my son, the man working 12-hour shifts thinking he was building a future for his family. I opened his shared financial folder. He had given me access years ago, just in case, he had said. I clicked the most recent statements, and there it was, withdrawal after withdrawal. $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, $20,000, each one labeled differently. Home repair, medical expense. School fees, emergency fund, all lies, all leading to one total. $85,000 gone, transferred, stolen. I didn't react, didn't panic, didn't cry. Because this was exactly what I had been waiting for. Proof, clear, undeniable. But then I went further because something told me this wasn't everything. I opened his credit report, and that's when it got worse. 3 credit cards, not small ones, maxed out, over $40,000 in debt. All under Marcus's name, all opened within the last year. My chest tightened, not from shock, from anger, controlled, focused, because this wasn't just betrayal anymore, this was destruction. Systematic, intentional. And then I remembered what Ethan said. When Dad is gone, I sat still, thinking, connecting everything, trips, money, a second house, a man, secrets, and children being used to hide it all. I closed the laptop slowly, reached for my notebook, and wrote, Day 2, financial plus personal betrayal confirmed. Then I picked up my phone and made the call I had been avoiding. Marcus answered on the 3rd ring. Hey Mom, he said, exhausted. Everything okay? His voice broke something in me because he had no idea. None. Marcus, I said gently, I need you to come over tonight. Pause. Is everything all right with the kids? They're safe, I said. Another pause, then okay. I'll be there. He arrived at 7:12 p.m. still in his work clothes. Still tired, still trusting. That was the hardest part. Hey Mom, he said, walking in. What's going on? Sit down, I told him. He did. I placed the folder in front of him. Open it. He frowned slightly, but he listened. And as he started going through the pages, I watched his face change. Confusion, then disbelief, then something deeper, something heavier. What is this? He asked quietly. Keep going, I said. He flipped the page, then another, then another. His hands started shaking. No, he whispered. No, this isn't right. It is, I said calmly. She wouldn't do this. She already did. Silence, thick, heavy, unavoidable. Then he saw the property document. His breathing stopped. What is this? He asked. A house, I said, in Atlanta. He looked at the names. And everything inside him collapsed. She bought a house? Yes. With someone else? Yes. The room went silent, completely. Then he broke, not loudly, not violently, quietly, the way strong people break. When they finally see the truth. I worked for that, he whispered. I know. I trusted her. I know. I thought I was building something. His voice cracked. And that was the moment, the exact moment everything changed. Because this wasn't about evidence anymore. It was about reality. And once someone sees reality, they can't unsee it. What do I do? He asked. I looked at him, not as my son, but as a man who had just been destroyed and needed direction. We act, I said, carefully, strategically, completely. He nodded slowly, still shaking, still processing. But first, I added, we protect the children. That landed. Because no matter what, he was still their father, and now he was awake. That night, we didn't sleep. Because once the truth is exposed, there are only two choices: ignore it or act on it. And I had never been the kind of woman who ignores anything. Marcus sat across from me at the kitchen table. Silent, still processing, still trying to understand how his life had fallen apart in a single evening. But I wasn't thinking about what was broken. I was thinking about what needed to be done. Listen to me carefully, I said. He looked up, eyes red but focused. We don't confront her. What? He asked. Not yet. His jaw tightened. Mom, she stole from me. I know, I said calmly. And if you confront her now, she'll lie. Silence. Because he knew I was right. She'll deny everything, she'll twist it, she'll turn you into the villain. I leaned forward slightly. And worst of all, she'll prepare. That word landed. Prepare for what? He asked. To take everything that's left. His expression changed, from hurt to awareness, because now he understood this wasn't over, not even close. This wasn't a mistake, I continued. This was planned. That means she has a backup plan too. Silence, heavy, strategic. So what do we do? He asked. Now we begin. The next morning started earlier than usual, not for breakfast, not for routine, for war. By 8 a.m. I had already made 2 calls. The first to Margaret Collins, the second to someone Margaret trusted. Evelyn, Margaret said when she arrived, stepping into my house with sharp eyes and a knowing expression, this feels serious. It is, I replied. She looked at Marcus, then back at me. Tell me everything. And I did, every detail, every document, every dollar, every lie. She didn't interrupt, didn't react emotionally, because like me, she understood something important. Emotion clouds strategy, and this required clarity. When I finished, she exhaled slowly. Well, she said, you weren't exaggerating. No, this is bad, yes. And she has no idea you know? Not yet. That was the key. That was the advantage, and we were going to keep it. Margaret reached into her bag, pulled out a small notebook. I'm calling Ruth, she said. Now. Within an hour, everything shifted. Ruth Henderson arrived at 9:30 a.m. calm. Professional, observant, the kind of woman who didn't need to speak loudly to be taken seriously. I understand we have a situation involving children, she said. Yes, I replied, and more than that. We showed her everything. The documents, the financial records, the property, the pattern, but what mattered most were the children. What have they said? Ruth asked. I hesitated for a moment, then answered honestly. They've been told to keep secrets. Her expression changed instantly. That was the moment she locked in. About a man, I added, when their father isn't home. Silence. Then she nodded slowly. I'll need to speak with them, she said. You will, I replied, because now this wasn't just family anymore. This was official. By noon, the next piece fell into place. Charles Whittaker, the lawyer. He walked into my house like a man who had seen everything and trusted nothing. I've reviewed what you sent, he said, placing his briefcase on the table. And I'll be very clear. He looked at Marcus. This is one of the cleanest cases I've ever seen. Marcus swallowed. What does that mean? It means, Charles said calmly, if we move correctly, she loses everything. Silence, not shocking, just final. But we have to be precise, he continued. No mistakes, no emotions. No confrontation, I nodded. Exactly. Here's what we do, he said, opening the folder. Step 1, freeze all accounts. Marcus looked up. Can I do that? Yes. And you will today? Step 2, file for emergency custody. My heart slowed. This mattered most. Based on what? Marcus asked. Manipulation, exposure to an unknown adult, psychological risk. Ruth nodded slightly, confirming. Step 3, Charles continued, we prepare for confrontation on our terms. That word again, terms, control. That means, I asked. That means when she walks back into this house, he paused. Then finished, she walks into the truth. Marcus leaned back, breathing slowly, processing. This is really happening, he whispered. Yes, I said, it is. The rest of the day was preparation, documents printed, evidence organized. Every detail placed exactly where it needed to be, not messy, not emotional, structured, clear, unavoidable. And through all of this, the children played in the living room, laughing for the first time free. Because they didn't know yet what was coming, but they would, soon. That evening, Marcus sat beside me again, quieter this time, stronger. "What if she fights?" he asked. I looked at him, calm, certain. "She will." And then, I closed my notebook, placed it gently on the table. "Then she loses." He nodded slowly, because now he believed it. And as the sun set outside my window, I realized something important. Bianca thought she had control. She thought she had time. She thought she was ahead, but she wasn't. Because while she was busy living her lie, we were building the truth. And truth, when prepared properly, doesn't just expose, it destroys. It started with a phone call, not to me, to Marcus, late that night while we were still finalizing everything. His phone lit up on the table. "Bianca." We both looked at it. Neither of us spoke. Then it stopped. One call, then another. Then another. "She knows something," Marcus said quietly. I nodded. "Of course she does." People like Bianca don't sense truth, they sense loss of control. And the moment control slips, they panic. His phone buzzed again, a message this time. He opened it, read it, then handed it to me. "Why are the cards not working?" Short, sharp, no greeting, no emotion, just concern for one thing: money. I handed the phone back. "Don't reply," I said. "She'll keep pushing." And she did. Call after call, message after message. "Marcus, answer me. What did you do? Fix this now." Each one more aggressive than the last, but Marcus didn't respond, not this time, because now he understood something he never had before. Silence is power. The next morning it escalated. At exactly 8:12 a.m. my phone rang. "Bianca." I stared at it for a moment, then answered. "Hello, what did you do?" She snapped instantly. No introduction, no pretending. "Just anger." "I'm not sure what you mean," I replied calmly. "Don't play games with me, Evelyn. My accounts are frozen. My cards are declining. I can't access anything." I let a small pause sit between us. Then said, "You should speak to your husband about that." Silence just for a second, then I tried. "He's not answering." "Then maybe," I said softly, "you should think about why." Her breathing changed, faster, sharper. "You told him something," she accused. "I told him the truth." That word landed heavy, dangerous. "What truth?" she asked, but her voice had already shifted, less confident, more cautious. "The kind you've been hiding," I said. Silence. "Longer this time." "Then you don't know anything," she snapped. "I know enough." Another pause, and now I could hear it clearly. Fear, small but real. "You stay out of this," she said, voice tightening. "This is between me and my husband." "No," I replied calmly. "It stopped being just that when children became part of the lie." That hit. I knew it did, because her next words came slower, measured. "What are you talking about?" "You already know." Silence, and then a shift, a complete shift. The anger didn't disappear, it evolved into calculation. "I'm coming back," she said. "Today." There it was, the moment everything accelerated. "That's your choice," I replied. "And Evelyn?" Her voice dropped, colder than before. "If you've done something, you're going to regret it." I smiled slightly, not because it was funny, but because it confirmed everything. "No," I said quietly. "I don't think I will." I hung up, and the room felt different, heavier, closer, like a storm that had finally arrived. Marcus looked at me. "She's coming back, yes. When?" "Soon." He nodded slowly, no panic, no confusion. Just readiness, because now there was no turning back. By noon, everything was set. Charles was back, Ruth was present, documents organized, evidence ready, not scattered, not emotional, structured, clear, unavoidable. The children were sent to Margaret's house, safe, away from what was about to happen, because what was coming wasn't for them, it was for her. At exactly 2:47 p.m. we heard it. A car pulling up, fast, too fast. Then a door slam, heavy footsteps, and suddenly the doorbell rang, not once, not twice, relentless, demanding, impatient. "She's here," Marcus said. I stood up slowly, smoothed my hands over my dress, and walked toward the door, not rushed. Not nervous, prepared, because this moment wasn't emotional, it was earned. I opened the door, and there she was, but not the Bianca who had left. No designer confidence. No perfect composure, no control, her hair slightly messy. Her face tight, her eyes wild. "What did you do?" she demanded. I stepped aside slightly. "Come in." She walked past me quickly, stopped because now she saw it, Marcus, standing, still, calm, and behind him Charles, Ruth, the table. The documents, the truth, what is this? She asked. Her voice wasn't confident anymore, it was defensive. It's time, Marcus said quietly. She laughed, sharp, forced. Oh, this is ridiculous. Whatever she told you, sit down, Bianca. His voice changed, and that shook her, because she had never heard him like that before. She didn't sit immediately. She looked at me, then at him, then back at the room, calculating, trying to understand how she lost control. Then slowly she sat, and just like that the game was over, because now she wasn't walking away, she was trapped. The room was silent, not awkward, not uncertain, controlled, because for the first time since I had known Bianca, she wasn't in charge. She sat across from Marcus, arms crossed, eyes sharp, still trying to hold onto something, anything that would give her control back. This is insane, she said, forcing a laugh. You froze my accounts, over what? Something your mother made up? Marcus didn't react, didn't raise his voice, didn't argue. That alone unsettled her, because she was used to emotion, used to chaos, used to control, but this was different. Charles, Marcus said calmly, and that was it. No explanation, no warning, just action. Charles Whittaker opened the first folder. Slowly, deliberately. Mrs. Carter, he began, let's start with something simple. He slid a document across the table. Bianca glanced at it, barely. I don't have time for this. You should make time, he interrupted gently. That made her pause. She looked down again, this time properly, and I watched it happen, the exact moment her confidence cracked. What is this? She asked. A property deed, Charles replied. Atlanta, Georgia, purchased recently. Silence. Her eyes moved, reading, scanning, then stopping, right where they needed to. Owner Bianca Carter, co-owner Ryan Blake. Her hand froze just for a second. Then she looked up and smiled, fake, controlled. Oh, that, she said, that's just an investment. Marcus finally spoke. For who? For us, she replied quickly, but her voice wasn't steady anymore. Charles slid the next document forward. Bank statements, highlighted, clear, precise. Interesting investment, he said. Funded by multiple withdrawals from your husband's account. Bianca didn't touch the paper this time, didn't need to. Because she already knew. This is being taken out of context, she said. Is it? Charles replied calmly. Another document, then another. Each one placed exactly where it needed to be, each one removing another layer of her control. $10,000 home repair, $12,000 medical expense, $15,000 school fees. He looked at her. All transferred, all unaccounted for, all leading to one total. He paused, then said it. $85,000. Silence, heavy, unavoidable. Bianca looked at Marcus, switching tactics. Baby, listen to me, don't, he said, quiet, firm. That word hit harder than anything else. Because she had never heard it from him before, not like that. This isn't what you think, she tried again. Then what is it? He asked. No anger, no yelling, just truth. And she had no answer, so she pivoted, like she always did. This is her, she said suddenly, pointing at me. She's been trying to turn you against me for years. I didn't respond, didn't need to, because the truth doesn't defend itself, it reveals. Charles placed another document on the table. This might help clarify things. Bianca looked, and this time her face changed. Completely, credit cards, 3 of them, all in Marcus's name, all maxed out, all hidden. That's, she started. Fraud, Charles finished. Over $40,000. Marcus leaned forward slightly. Did you open these? He asked. Silence, no denial, no excuse, just silence, because she knew there was no way out of this. But then she made her mistake. The one mistake narcissists always make. She got angry. This wouldn't even matter if you made enough money, she snapped. The room froze because now the truth wasn't just in documents, it was in her. I had to do something, she continued. I wasn't going to live stuck in that life forever, that was it. The real reason, not survival, not necessity, entitlement, pure, unfiltered. Marcus leaned back slowly. Like something inside him had finally shut off. You were leaving, he said. It wasn't a question. Bianca hesitated just for a second, but that second said everything. Charles didn't miss it. Actually, he said calmly, we have something that confirms that. He pulled out his phone, pressed play, and suddenly her own voice filled the room. Once I get the old woman to watch them, we take everything and leave. Bianca went still, completely still. He won't even know until it's done. Her breathing changed. Once we're in Atlanta, he'll never get the kids back. Silence. Then panic. She started. Out of context? Charles asked. She didn't answer because there was no context that could save her now. Marcus stood up slowly, not angry, not loud, just done. You planned this, he said. Yes, no, you planned to take my children. Silence. Her silence was the answer, and that was the moment. The exact moment everything ended, because betrayal can be explained, but intention, that destroys everything. What happens now? She asked, and for the first time her voice wasn't sharp, wasn't controlled, it was small. That was new. Charles closed the folder, calm, professional. Now, he said, you have two options. She looked at him, desperate. Listening. Option 1, he continued, you cooperate. You sign the papers, you return the money, you agree to custody terms. He paused. And the room held its breath. We take this to court. Bianca swallowed. What happens then? She asked quietly. Marcus answered this time. You lose, and she knew it. She felt it, because for the first time in her life she wasn't manipulating the situation. She was inside it, and there was no way out. She looked at me, not with anger, not with arrogance, but with something else, something fragile. How did you do this? She asked. I met her eyes, calm, unshaken. I didn't do anything, I said. I just paid attention. And that was the final blow, because everything she had built, every lie, every manipulation, every hidden move fell apart under one simple truth. She had been seen. She didn't speak for a long time, not after the recording, not after the documents, not after Marcus said you lose. Because for the first time in her life, Bianca Carter had nothing left to say, no manipulation, no argument. No control, just silence and fear, real fear. Charles placed the final set of papers in front of her, clean, organized, final. This is your agreement, he said calmly. Sign and we settle this privately. She stared at the pages. Didn't touch them. What happens if I don't? She asked. Charles didn't answer. Marcus did. We go to court. She looked at him, searching, hoping for something, anything, but there was nothing left. Because the man sitting in front of her was not the same man she had controlled for years. And then, she asked quietly. Marcus didn't hesitate. You lose custody. Silence. You repay everything. Another pause. And there's a strong chance, he added, voice steady, this becomes criminal. That word hit differently because money can be argued, marriage can be twisted, but crime is final. Her hand finally moved. Slowly, she picked up the papers. Started reading, line by line, clause by clause, and I watched her face change. Again, not anger, not arrogance, reality, because every word on those pages was a consequence. Full custody to Marcus, supervised visits only. Full financial repayment, no access, no control, no leverage, her entire life reduced to accountability. This is too much, she whispered. No, I said quietly. This is exactly what you created. She looked at me. And for the first time there was no hatred in her eyes, just recognition. You planned all of this, she said. No, I replied, you did. Silence, then slowly she signed. One page, then another, then another. Each signature louder than any argument she had ever made. And just like that it was over, not dramatic, not explosive, just finished. She placed the pen down, hands shaking. What happens now? She asked. Marcus stepped back slightly like he needed space. Now you leave, he said. Her lips parted, like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out, because there was nothing left to defend. She stood up slowly, looked around the room. At the house, at the life she had built on lies, and for a brief moment I saw it, regret, not for what she did, but for getting caught. She walked to the door, stopped, turned back, and looked at Marcus. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she said. He didn't respond. Because sometimes silence is the only answer truth deserves. Then she looked at me and asked, how did you know? I held her gaze, steady, unshaken. Because I was watching, I said, and that was it. She left. The door closed, and the house finally felt quiet again, but not empty, different, lighter, like something heavy had finally been removed. Marcus sat down slowly, ran his hands over his face, and for a moment he just breathed. It's over, he whispered. Yes, I said, it is. But I knew something he didn't yet. This wasn't just an ending, it was a beginning. The children came back that evening. Laughter. Energy, life, real life, no tension, no fear, just freedom. Noah hugged his father longer than usual. Lily sat close to me without hesitation, and Ethan fell asleep on the couch, peacefully, no tablet, no noise, just peace. And that's when I realized something. I hadn't just exposed the truth. I had restored something Bianca had taken slowly over years. Family, real family built on honesty, not control. Weeks passed, then months, and life settled. Marcus changed, not overnight, but steadily. He worked less, lived more, listened more, and for the first time he was present, truly present. The children changed too. Noah stopped being angry, Lily started smiling more, Ethan stopped asking questions in fear. They weren't perfect, but they were real, and that mattered more. As for Bianca, she faded, not dramatically, not publicly, quietly. Exactly the way truth removes people, not with noise, but with consequence. One evening, months later, I sat in my garden, watching Ethan plant seeds, carefully, curiously. "Grandma," he asked, "how do you know what grows and what doesn't?" I smiled, because the answer was everything. "You don't always know," I said, "but you pay attention." He nodded slowly. "Thinking, and if something bad grows?" he asked. I looked at him, then at the soil, then back at him. "You remove it," I said, "before it destroys everything else." He smiled and went back to planting. And in that moment, I understood something deeply. This was never about revenge. It was about protection. It was about truth. It was about knowing when to stay quiet and when to act. Because the most dangerous thing in the world is not a lie. It's a lie that goes unchallenged. And the most powerful person is not the loudest one in the room. It's the one who sees everything and waits. I'm Evelyn Carter, I'm 68 years old, and here's what I learned. People will underestimate you, especially when you're quiet. They'll think kindness is weakness, patience is ignorance, silence is surrender. Let them, because when the moment comes, you won't need to shout, you won't need to fight. You'll just need the truth, and when truth is ready, it doesn't ask for permission, it takes everything back.